Oh, hi vlog. It's me again. It is a weird day outside because it rained today, which I think finally we're sort of nearing the rainy season, but nobody should be fooled. It's still going to be hot in Israel up until like December. It's cooling down, so I decided to come outside, get some fresh air with you guys, and just have a little talk about something that I've been learning recently. And let me tell you, it's not something that I ever wanted to learn in this way, but this is what we're going through. So also, if you hear different cats meowing at different sporadic times, we're in their house, we're outside, so have fun. So some of you guys know that a while ago I moved to an apartment in Nachrot, and then I suddenly and abruptly had to leave. And I'm still not entirely able to say why, because I'm in the middle of a lawsuit, and the lawsuit basically will be concluded in November. And so without trying to be like, I'm not trying to be like cryptic about it, but I literally just can't talk about it till it's solved. But through this process, I am learning some really valuable lessons that I want to share. And maybe some of you guys, even if we're not from the same religion, I'm a Messianic Jew, you can relate to this, because I think that when we go through different trials and different challenges, I think that everyone can relate to them. I am learning a lesson in courage. I can't say exactly what that is, but in the last year, and especially in the last few months, I have been presented with the choice of to be courageous and do what I believe is the right and moral thing to do, or to back off, not fight for justice or what is right, because of the fear of retaliation or the consequences or whatever it is. And I'm realizing that it's really not so easy to be courageous when you're not like that in your nature. My background is that I used to have phobias, a lot of fears, and these fears would completely control my life. There are people in this world, if you're one of those people, put your name in the comments below, because I am inspired by you, but that they're naturally brave people. They're naturally courageous. They have a natural sense of security and self-confidence. I am not born with that gene. I wish I was. If you could bottle it up and I could just drink it, then I would. But life has a way of teaching us these lessons of courage. And I realize within this lesson of courage that when you choose it, even courage itself has to be surrendered to God or to the good. Courage without wisdom is just zealousy that could lead to bad things. And I'm realizing that in this case that I'm going through, the difference between me and my rival, if you will, is that I take my courage and I surrender it to humility. I feel like the people around me have taught me what it is to be a woman of peace. Meaning, as much as it's up to me, I want to be at peace with all people. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to trust these people. Doesn't mean that you have to continue to be friends with them. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that as much as you can be at peace with this person, as much as it's possible, try and be at peace. And so I feel like from the beginning of this sort of cryptic process, I have tried to be at peace with this situation, this person, and that person has constantly decided that they're not going to do what is right. Meaning they're not going to walk in ways of peace. They're going to walk in corruption. They're going to walk in intimidation. They're going to walk in like the love of money. And when you have that type of person on your hands, the temptation is basically to do the same as they do, like to repay evil with evil. But according to my faith, I need to repay evil with good. And I realize that if I don't do that with every step, if I don't do the max, the best that I can do to be at peace and to offer an opportunity for change for the better, meaning to repent, to do what is right, then I will be at fault before God or morally, because I didn't choose the right thing. I didn't choose paths of righteousness. I didn't choose peace instead of, you know, the alternative, which would be to be a rival to that person. It's a really, really sucky feeling when you feel like you're trying to do the right thing and the wrong thing is happening. It's very discouraging, but it's also sort of sad because you think, okay, when you are given the option to do what is right, you'd like to think as a person that you're choosing the right thing in life, the least selfish route, or the, you know, the most morally sound and correct. And yet not everyone chooses that. And so within this realm of courage that I'm learning, I am learning to surrender it in prayer to God. Meaning with every step that I take, I come before God and I say, God, what is the right thing to do? What is the kind thing to do, the most loving thing to do, the most just thing to do, the most righteous thing to do? And that doesn't necessarily mean that whatever step I take next is pleasant, because it could be that the next steps that I take result in bad things, quote unquote bad things for someone else. But it's because they chose not to walk in righteousness, so I am forced to implement justice. And I think that a lot of things, bad things that we go through in life, it's a result of our own consequences of our own actions. Meaning, if I, let's just say, have a spark of anger, okay, or I have a tendency to anger, let's just say I lash out at people with my words. Eventually it comes to bullying people. After that, it's developed to threatening people, you know, pushing them around, being physically violent, threatening, you know, those things, when you don't catch those things at the core, those things develop into bigger and greater things. And I think that throughout life, when you are given the opportunity to do right and you choose constantly to do wrong, your consequences, the consequences of your actions, those are the things that eventually follow you. Those are the things eventually that convict you, and the things that eventually get you into trouble. But if from the beginning, when you had that spark of anger, you chose to relent, you chose to breathe for a second, you chose to look at things differently, reframe it, try and make peace with the person, well then your life could have ended up so different, because everything is a domino effect. If you choose one thing that is bad and you allow that thing to fester, well, those things just grow and grow and grow because you're feeding it. But whatever you don't feed, that thing dies. And in this case, with my lawsuit, the people involved have constantly chosen to do that in life. And now I'm realizing that if I walk in ways of justice, because I'm walking in those ways, those actions, like my just action and their unjust action, they collide with each other. And so it's not necessarily that whatever action I take now to implement justice will feel good to them. It's not going to feel good. It's going to convict their own actions. And so that's one of those things that I also have to remember as a person that's implementing courage, that you would like for there to be victory for all. You know, like my main agenda here, if you will, is that every single side will learn, change, choose what is good. Not everyone takes the offer for change. And I'm not talking about like whether or not they believe like me or not, but just to be a quote unquote good person, to choose what is right. And so it's a very weird position to be in, but I'm realizing that in order to learn what true courage is, courage needs to be surrendered to goodness. The other thing that I'm learning as a person who, for the majority of my life, I was a people pleaser, it's very hard to put someone else in a position in which they are not pleased. But not only not pleased, but they are actually angry with you. They're trying to thwart different situations so that you look bad. They're trying to basically cover their tracks so that they don't get in trouble, and they try to put things on you and also cause more trouble, like financial trouble for you. So that's a very vague picture of what I'm going through, but I think you can sort of catch my drift. And it's very hard as a person who, you know, doesn't want people to be angry at them, or let's just say, it's not that I'm not used to conflict, but I don't like conflict. I don't like run into it being like, I want to do this and solve it, or, you know, I'm not that type of person. but I am taking sort of like the strength and energy of someone else that's in my sort of like my circle, my inner circle, who is naturally brave. They are naturally the type of person that they have authority, they've been in authority, they know how to implement authority, and in this realm that I'm dealing with, they have a lot of authority. So they come before injustice with 100% confidence that I'm going to win and that I'm going to be okay. And when you've been gaslit by your rival and intimidated and threatened, it's really easy to sort of get into your head and think like, am I crazy? Am I wrong for believing that this is the right thing to do? Or the things that I did in the past to make sure that I was okay, was I wrong to do that? Was I exaggerating? But when you have someone that has authority in that area, they have a clear way of thinking, and they can say, listen, you're not crazy. This is exactly what you should have done, and this is what we're going to do. And they just have this bravery about them that no one can take away from them. And so the other lesson that I'm learning here is to surround myself by people that are just and that have already gone through things like this before, so that I can learn from their courage. I'm also super happy that this person, he's also, a Messianic Jew, and our main agenda is not to do bad or vengeance, but it's to do good, and that the righteous won't be put to shame. You know what I mean? So that those that are, poor, or those that are, weak, aren't being, stepped over or stepped on by the rich and the haughty and the proud. And so that's my second lesson, which is to surround myself with people that naturally have that courage or have gained it. So that's lesson number 2. And then the third lesson that I'm learning is that I'm taking from the life of King David. Some of you guys might not know these stories of King David in the Bible, but even if you're not a religious person, I truly recommend reading it, because he is such a great example of what courage and humility is like. And I really take sort of notes from him, like throughout all the Psalms and throughout, 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, like how his courage went down the generations so that other people can do good. What I noticed in his life is that the story of David is that King Saul was jealous of him because the hearts of the people were no longer with him, but they wanted basically David to be king. That's sort of the long story short encapsulated. But Saul basically was like hunting him down for years and years and years. And King David said that he wouldn't want to lay a hand or to take the life of the Lord's anointed, meaning the king. And in every single situation, he gave Saul the opportunity to change. But even if Saul never changed, David needed to make sure that his heart before God was right. So you can see in the Psalms that he's constantly asking God to forgive his own faults, to make his heart pure, to make sure that he's walking in ways of righteousness, and that God would be the one to justify him, that God would be the one to vindicate him. And I just really see that as my example, that it's not for me to take vengeance. Like, my heart should always be to give all the opportunities that can be given for the person to choose what is right. And if it's not possible, then I need to do what is right. You know what I mean? But us implementing justice doesn't mean vengeance. I'm giving vengeance to God. Like, I want the least amount of damage to all sides and the best results possible. And that sometimes takes time. This isn't a long time technically, but I've been going through this for almost a year, and it's been cumbersome and burdensome to me. And it's been a trial, and I've had to learn to sort of, create muscles of strength that I didn't have before. And I'm really grateful for the challenge, and I'm really grateful that I have a great support system. But King David didn't always have that support. Sometimes he did, and sometimes he didn't. And you could see that he would always turn to God and ask him to strengthen him, and ask him to, be his shield and his guard and his stronghold. And that is my third lesson. It's basically to rely on God for my strength and let him vindicate me in whatever way that he chooses. So yeah, if you could read about King David, I think it's great lessons for everyone, even if you're not religious or a person of faith. So yeah, but if you are a person of faith or you're just a good person, pray for this situation. Hopefully by November I can tell you guys exactly what went on, and giving you guys the full details. I'm truly not trying to be cryptic on purpose. It's just the situation that I can't speak about it yet. So comment down below, let me know cases in your life in which you had to implement courage and what you've learned from it. I really do read all of your comments and I learn from you. Like everything that you guys write, I also take, and I'm encouraged by it. So yeah, this is a two-way conversation. Comment down below. If you are not from this channel and you're new here, then feel free to hit the notification bell and subscribe. I try to upload a video every single week. And if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I love you guys. I love seeing your names pop up in the comments. And I will see you guys in a vlog very soon.